We've all been there, right? Those times when everything just feels like really heavy.
Yeah.
Kind of deep inner questioning, almost like you're lost in the shadows a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we all go through, that feeling of being in the dark,
Mm.
you know? And today we're not just gonna like acknowledge it.
Yeah.
We're gonna really dive deep into it.
Yeah.
We're exploring this experience, which some people call the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Not in a, clinical way, but
Mm-hmm.
more as a stage that can actually help you grow and transform.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna do it through this super interesting lens, the law of one,
Okay.
specifically using the raw material.
Ah,
So
interesting.
you provided us with these incredible books for this deep dive,
Yeah.
and they're basically transcripts of communications with this group consciousness that calls itself Ra.
Right.
So for our listener, think of Ra almost like a shared understanding or a collective wisdom that a whole group of beings has.
Okay.
And this contact, which started back in 1981, was all about sharing and learning about the law of one, which is basically this fundamental idea that everything's interconnected,
Yeah.
that ultimately everything is one.
It's a powerful concept.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit more.
Sure.
We have these books, the raw material,
Mm.
which are like a detailed record of these channeled conversations with this social memory complex, Ra.
Right.
And the core idea here is this law of one, this principle of unity.
Okay.
So our mission today is to actually use this framework, this law of one,
Yeah.
to understand those heavy, difficult periods,
Mm-hmm.
those dark nights,
Right.
and explore ways we might be able to heal and become whole again.
That's a great goal.
We'll look at what might be causing these feelings,
Yeah.
things like energetic blockages, even the possibility of psychic influences.
Interesting.
And we'll see how our own journey of self-discovery plays a crucial role in moving through these things.
Okay.
And we'll do it all from the unique perspective of Ra.
Sounds.
What I find really interesting is that the raw material offers a completely different way of looking at why you might feel stuck or lost or in turmoil.
Oh, how so?
Well, it goes beyond just your thoughts and feelings.
Okay.
And it starts to explore the energetic and even psychic aspects of who you are.
Interesting.
So let's start with that feeling of being stuck.
Okay.
Ra talks about mental configuration
Mm-hmm.
as being too simple an explanation for what's really happening when we feel blocked.
Right.
So what do they mean by that? And how might this relate to what you, our listener, might be experiencing during a dark night?
Well, the key thing to understand here is that Ra really emphasizes how interconnected everything is,
Mm-hmm.
especially what they call the mind, spirit, and body complexes.
Okay.
They're not separate things, you see. They're actually parts of one big dynamic system.
So it's more holistic.
Exactly. So
Right.
when we talk about feeling stuck, it could be that there are blockages happening between these different aspects of yourself. And not just in your thoughts, but on many different levels.
So it's potentially more than just a bad mood or negative thinking.
Yeah, it could be a disruption in the flow of energy that connects these different parts of ourselves.
Interesting.
Ra gives us a way to understand this subtle energetic landscape through the idea of 7 energy centers.
I mean, like chakras.
Exactly. You might know them as chakras.
Okay.
But here's what's fascinating. Ra says that each of these 7 centers has 7 subcolors.
Whoa, so there's even more nuance.
A lot more.
Wow.
This really highlights how delicate and complex achieving balance can be.
Right.
So if you're feeling that deep sense of being stuck or in a difficult place, this framework suggests it might be related to imbalances or blockages within this intricate energetic system.
So it's not just about changing a thought. It's about bringing your whole energetic being into harmony.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's a much more intricate picture than I think many of us consider.
It is, yeah.
Now, something that also comes up is this idea of psychic influences. This might sound a bit unusual to some people, but what does Ra have to say about this? And how might it connect to these difficult times we're talking about?
Well, it's an important point, and Ra actually addresses it quite directly.
Okay.
In the context of the instrument, the person who channeled Ra, they talk about the possibility of psychic attacks actually making pre-existing problems even worse.
Oh, wow.
And what's really interesting here is that even the discomfort you might feel before you start seeking knowledge, like tuning into this deep dive, could be because your subconscious mind is trying to save energy.
Interesting.
Or even potentially due to some kind of psychic interference.
So that feeling of resistance you might have towards self-exploration or seeking help
Okay.
could actually be a sign of something more
It could be, yeah.
than just feeling reluctant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Ra also introduces this idea of the Orion group,
Okay.
which they describe as a negatively oriented social memory complex.
So for our listener, it's almost like a group consciousness focused on self-service.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Okay.
And according to Ra, this group can engage in psychic influence. It's contrasted with the Confederation, which is a positively oriented group that's focused on service to others.
Okay, so we have these two seemingly opposing forces that might be influencing us energetically or psychically.
Right.
How can we tell the difference between them? According to Ra, I mean,
Well, Ra suggests that you look at the core of the interaction or the influence and how it makes you feel.
okay.
What's the intention behind it? Does it leave you feeling stronger and more connected or drained and manipulated?
That makes sense.
Ra emphasizes that their own contact is all about service, with those receiving the information trying to purify themselves to become better channels. On the other hand, the Orion group, if they mistakenly contact someone who's leaning towards positivity, can cause a lot of disruption,
Oh.
unless they can depolarize that person. However, they tend to focus more on people they see as having a weaker mind.
Okay, so the intention and the impact are really key indicators here.
Right.
Now, if we were experiencing these blockages or even these potential psychic influences,
Yeah.
what can we do about it? The sources mention energy balancing and activation.
Well, what's really interesting is that while activating your energy centers is definitely important,
Yeah.
Ra really stresses the importance of refining the balance between these energies.
Okay.
It's not just about turning them on.
Right.
It's about creating harmony.
Yeah.
Like between love and wisdom, for example,
Ooh,
or between positive and negative energies within each center.
gotcha.
This internal balancing is presented as fundamental for the deeper growth of what they call your mind-body-spirit complex.
So moving through the dark night isn't just about getting rid of the darkness,
Right.
but about creating this inner balance.
Exactly.
Like that.
Ra mentions that any being can temporarily clear and balance their energy centers if they really focus on it.
Okay.
Through love and will.
Like a quick reset?
Yeah, you could say that.
Right.
But to actually become someone who naturally heals.
And when they say heals, they mean
Yeah.
healing yourself too, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That requires dedicated training in what Ra calls the disciplines of the personality.
Okay. Disciplines of the personality.
Mhm.
That sounds like something we can actually work towards.
It is, yeah.
So what are these disciplines according to Ra?
The core of this discipline has 3 parts.
Okay.
Know yourself,
Mhm.
accept yourself,
Okay.
and become the creator.
Whoa. That's a powerful progression.
It is, yeah.
Let's break that down a bit.
Sure.
Know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually mean in the context of navigating a dark night?
Well, it means taking a deep dive into your own being,
Okay.
understanding your habits, your strengths, and your weaknesses.
Right.
It's about being honest with yourself about what's going on inside.
Being self-aware.
Exactly.
Right.
And then accept yourself means embracing every part of who you are, the good and the bad, without judging yourself.
Yeah, that's important.
And finally, become the creator. This isn't about literally becoming a god.
Right.
It's about recognizing and using your own creative power.
Yeah.
Your ability to shape your own reality through your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions.
I like that.
It also involves understanding and balancing those opposite forces inside you, like maybe your patience and your impatience, as the raw material mentions.
So, for our listener, how might recognizing their own creative potential help them take small steps to change their situation, even if it feels really dark right now?
Yeah, it could be as simple as choosing to think a more positive thought or doing something creative.
I see, like channeling that energy into something productive.
Exactly.
So going through a dark night can actually become a chance to develop deep self-awareness and self-acceptance,
Right.
and ultimately lead to a greater understanding of our own creative power.
Absolutely.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Ra also emphasizes that healing, in this broader sense of finding inner balance, starts with ourselves.
Mhm.
They say that you can only truly be a channel for balancing others once you're actively working on your own equilibrium.
Right.
And they even mentioned the green ray body as being connected to this capacity for healing.
The green ray is often associated with the heart and compassion, so it makes sense in the context of balance and healing.
Yeah, especially when you're going through a difficult time emotionally.
Absolutely.
Now, Rat also talks about the potential for accelerated growth in our current third density,
Mm-hmm.
if we take responsibility for each moment.
Mhm.
And remember, third density is just our everyday reality. So
Right.
how does that tie into overcoming these challenging times?
Well, the idea is that third density, this level of existence we're in right now, offers a unique intensity of experience.
Wow.
And that intensity can be a powerful catalyst for growth.
I see.
By consciously engaging with each moment, by taking responsibility for our reactions and choices, we can actually speed up our evolution.
So the challenges of the dark night actually become powerful opportunities for learning and advancement.
Exactly. Now, another concept that comes up is wanderers.
Okay.
These are described as more advanced beings who have chosen to come here to be of service.
Right. How do their experiences relate to this idea of inner turmoil?
Well, Ra explains that wanderers often wake up to their purpose in ways that aren't scary.
Hmm.
Sometimes it happens peacefully in their sleep or just during normal daily activities.
Okay.
But they can also have difficulties because their own vibrational frequency might not match the general planetary vibes of third density.
Like they're out of tune.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And this can manifest as feelings of not belonging or a sense of disconnect or even intense internal struggles.
So if someone's feeling that disconnect, how would Ra explain that in terms of these vibrational differences?
They might say that the person is experiencing a mismatch between their own energy and the energy of the planet.
So even those who came here to help can experience their own dark nights.
Yeah, because of this vibrational
That
difference.
makes sense.
And Ra also notes that wanderers are often drawn to people who need love because they're so compassionate.
Hmm.
But they can sometimes make choices that aren't the best for themselves because of that compassion.
Hmm.
And it's important to remember that even wanderers can be affected by psychic influences or attacks.
So it seems like these difficult periods are just part of the journey, no matter who you are.
It seems that way, yeah.
Now, a concept that keeps coming up is choice and polarization.
Mm-hmm.
For you, our listener, think of polarization like tuning a radio dial.
Okay.
You can tune it to stations that are broadcasting more loving and compassionate signals, which is service to others.
Right.
Or you can tune it to stations that are more self-focused, which is service to self.
I like that analogy.
So how does navigating a dark night relate to this idea of choosing which way to tune your dial?
Well, Ra emphasizes that consciously choosing your polarity, whether you lean towards service to others or service to self, is really important for what they call harvestability.
Harvestability.
Yeah, it's basically the direction your spiritual evolution is going in. And going through a dark night can actually help you consciously choose and strengthen your lean towards love and service.
Oh, so.
By facing our inner darkness and choosing to move towards light and compassion, we make our positive polarity stronger.
So those tough times can actually help us make more conscious decisions about what kind of person we want to be
Yeah,
and the direction we want to grow in.
exactly.
And ultimately, the goal is to welcome what Rod calls the less and less distorted love light and light love of the Creator.
Right.
It's like a never-ending process of refining ourselves and moving towards a pure expression of that fundamental unity.
Absolutely.
Now, there's one statement from Ra that I found really thought-provoking.
Yeah. What's that?
They said that all our striving, even seeking knowledge like we're doing right now, might actually seem like a vain and empty folly.
Hmm.
Because true transformation might not happen completely within this physical body.
Right.
That's a pretty sobering thought.
It is.
So how do we reconcile that with all the effort we put into understanding these ideas?
Well, I think it raises a profound point about what this journey is really about.
Okay.
Ra is suggesting that true service isn't just about doing things. It's
Mhm.
about being.
Okay.
It's about allowing your true, open-hearted self to just radiate love and light.
That's beautiful.
Even if we don't reach complete transformation in this lifetime,
Yeah.
the intention, the striving, and the act of embodying love and service are all incredibly valuable.
I see.
It's like aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation, even if you can't see the final destination from where you are now.
So it's more about the intention and the embodiment of love and service in each moment,
Right.
rather than focusing on some distant goal of, like, ultimate enlightenment in this lifetime.
Exactly.
It really changes your perspective, huh?
It does, yeah.
It brings the focus back to the present moment
Mm-hmm.
and the quality of our being.
Exactly.
Well, this has been a really deep dive into a complex and fascinating topic.
It has.
To recap some key takeaways for you, our listener, we've explored the energetic nature of our inner struggles, the possibility of psychic influences from outside sources, and the importance of self-awareness, self-acceptance, and balancing those energies within us.
Mm-hmm.
And we've looked at how navigating these difficult dark nights can actually help us grow towards love and service.
Right.
It's important to remember that everyone's journey through these tough times is unique.
It is, yeah.
The insights from the Law of One give us a really interesting framework to understand and navigate this process.
Mhm.
But how you apply it will depend on your own personal experience. So for you, our listener, as you reflect on your own experiences,
Mhm.
think about this.
Yeah.
How can understanding your own energy centers, being aware of the possibility of psychic influences, and actively practicing those disciplines of self, knowing yourself deeply, accepting yourself fully, and embodying your own creative potential, how can all that contribute to your own healing and help you move towards greater inner harmony?
That's a powerful question.
It is, yeah.
The journey of self-discovery, a deep dive into your own being.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Of course.
We really hope these insights from the raw material have given you a new way to look at the dark night of the soul
Yeah,
and have shown you some potential paths forward on your own journey.
absolutely.
Until next time.
See you then.